we've all been there. You type a prompt into an AI slide generator. Beat 30 seconds later, it spits out this gorgeous color-coordinated deck.
Oh, yeah, and it always looks so perfect at first glance.
Right. You think, like, amazing, I am done. But then you actually read the slides, and you realize the underlying story is a total mess. The logic is just completely broken.
Yeah.
So what happens, you spend the next 3 hours manually dragging text boxes around trying to salvage the narrative.
It's incredibly frustrating. You get these beautiful templates and, perfect gradients. The visual polish is definitely there.
Yeah, for sure.
But the actual core message, it's just entirely weak.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking at a dramatically better workflow. We are unpacking a surprisingly simple approach that completely solves this exact AI presentation trap. The secret is that you just separate the writing from the design.
Exactly.
Just a quick reminder for you listening, this is a deep dive, not a standard interview. We're going to meticulously break down this workflow step by step so you can actually use it.
Right. We're looking at a complete inversion of how most people instinctively use these tools.
Yeah.
Like, people usually rush straight into the visual layout because it's fun and immediate. But if your underlying argument is weak, there is no visual template on earth that can save it.
Exactly. Beat. So let's start by unhacking the foundational rule here. Write first, design second. The guide we're studying is very specific about this mechanism. You write the entire presentation in Claude first. Only then do you design it in Replit Design.
It sounds so simple when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
But it fundamentally changes the entire output.
Right.
You're letting Claude handle the logic.
Right.
Then you're letting Replit handle the layout.
Yeah.
By doing this, you're forcing the AI to plan the whole presentation as pure text, long before any visuals even exist to distract it.
And it all starts with what the source material calls a master prompt. Let's define what that actually means in practice. A master prompt is basically a reusable template where you only change the blanks.
Exactly. You don't need to reinvent the wheel and write a brand new prompt every single time you need a deck.
Right.
You just keep the core structural instructions. Then you fill in 5 specific fields for your new topic. Those fields are role, topic, slide count, audience, and tone.
I really want to focus on that first one for a moment, the role.
Oh, it's so important.
The guide says this is where you should actually spend the most time thinking. Beat. And honestly, I completely agree with that. I still wrestle with prompt drift myself, when I don't set a strict role.
Oh, absolutely.
Prompt drift is just when the AI forgets its original instructions and wanders off topic.
It happens so easily.
Yeah.
Setting a very specific role anchors the AI.
Yeah.
It gives the language model a rigid persona to operate within.
Right.
The text gives a fantastic example here. Think about the difference between asking Claude to act as a market analyst versus acting as a startup founder.
They are completely different lenses for looking at the exact same data.
Exactly. If you tell Claude to act as a market analyst, its whole operational mechanism shifts. It focuses on historical trends. It looks at the raw numbers. It provides sober, objective evidence. The language is going to be very measured and precise.
Right.
But if you say, act as a startup founder pitching to venture capitalists, the focus shifts entirely.
It suddenly becomes all about the vision.
Yes.
It pushes urgency. It explains exactly why people should care right now. It's the exact same topic, but because of that role, you get a totally different structural narrative.
And that leads right into the audience and tone fields. Your audience changes everything about how an argument needs to be structured.
Totally.
Like an investor deck requires market proof and immediate business impact.
Right.
But a deck for university students, that needs to slow down the logic.
Right.
It needs simpler analogies and more foundational examples.
Jumping straight into a slide designer without figuring all of that out first. It's like painting a house before the framing is even up.
That is a perfect analogy.
The underlying structure just isn't there to support the paint. Beat. So let me ask you this. Why force text first? Why not just jump in and edit the text right there inside the visual generator?
Because visual distraction ruins logical flow. It's just human psychology.
Okay.
When you're looking at font pairings and color palettes, your brain literally stops thinking about the strength of the argument. You start worrying about how a sentence fits inside a little blue rectangle. Forcing it into Claude first makes you build a clear, logical reason for why each slide belongs.
It forces a strong argument before shiny design distracts us.
Precisely.
So let's explore how we actually sculpt this argument inside Claude.
Let's do it.
Beat. The guide mentions choosing the slide count on purpose, which I found fascinating. It says your slide count isn't just a random number you pick.
Right.
It actively decides how much heavy lifting each slide has to do.
This is a really mathematical way to limit cognitive load. Cognitive load is just the amount of mental effort needed to understand new information. Think about how an AI model generates text.
Okay.
If you ask Claude for 20 slides on a simple topic, it's going to spread the information too thin. Each slide makes a tiny incremental point.
Right, the whole argument gets diluted.
Exactly. But if you restrict it and ask for exactly 6 slides, Claude is computationally forced to cut the weak ideas and only keep the absolute strongest points.
The source recommends around 10 slides for a normal standard presentation. They say 10 slides is usually the perfect amount for about 15 minutes of actual talking. Beat. Now, I have to push back on that 10-slide rule just a little bit. Is 10 slides too rigid? What if I'm pitching a complex, highly technical B2B SaaS product?
Right.
10 slides feels dangerously thin for that. Am I just supposed to leave out all the vital technical specs?
It's a fair question, but you aren't leaving them out.
Yeah.
You're just shifting where they live. You have to remember that the slide deck is just the narrative spine of your presentation. It is not the entire encyclopedia of your product. If you need a deep dive into technical architecture, that belongs in a separate white paper or a technical appendix.
Right. That makes sense.
10 slides forces a complete persuasive argument without making the deck feel endless. It gives Claude enough room to build the core logic.
Yeah.
And later, it gives Replit Design enough physical space to make each slide feel clean and readable.
Okay, I see. You're forcing narrative discipline on the AI.
Exactly.
Now, this next detail might honestly be my favorite part of the entire workflow. It's the instruction to tell Claude to write all slide titles as key takeaways.
Yes, this is a massive structural upgrade to how most people build presentations.
Totally.
Think about a standard bad slide title. It's usually just a lazy label, something like market size or Q3 growth.
Right.
It tells the audience absolutely nothing about what the actual data means.
Right. If the slide just says market size, the audience spends the next 45 seconds squinting at a pie chart trying to figure out what the point is.
Yeah, completely ignoring what you're actually saying out loud.
Exactly. But a better slide title is a full, complete thought. Something like, the creator economy has doubled to $250 billion in 2 years. The title itself carries the entire message.
Exactly. You want to explicitly instruct Claude in your master prompt. Write every single slide title as the main takeaway, not as a generic label.
Right.
It instantly stops the deck from looking like a random disconnected list of topics.
Right.
It forces the AI to make an assertion on every single page.
So why are takeaway titles so critical to this whole process?
Because of natural human skimming behavior. We know people simply do not read every single word on a slide.
They scan.
Right. They look at the biggest text first. If your title is the main point, they get the crucial message instantly. Even if they ignore your bullet points entirely, they still understand your argument.
Skimmers still grasp your entire narrative without reading the bullet points.
Exactly. And that ties perfectly into the next crucial instruction for Claude.
Okay.
You have to actively force it to build one continuous argument.
Right. The guide says a good presentation shouldn't just be isolated facts. It should move in one deliberate direction. You start with a pressing problem. You show what is changing in the world. You add undeniable proof. You explain why it matters right now. And you end with a clear action.
To get that, you literally add this exact line to your prompt. Build the presentation as one continuous argument. Each slide should directly set up the next slide.
Wow.
Without that line, a language model will often just give you 10 perfectly true but totally disconnected bullet points about a topic.
And we absolutely cannot forget speaker notes. You have to explicitly ask Claude to generate the actual words you will say out loud.
Oh, for sure.
This is the secret to keeping the slides from becoming giant, unreadable walls of text.
It is the final piece of the text puzzle. So now you have a slide title, a main message, a rough layout idea, and detailed speaker notes. At this point, you sit down and read the full draft in Claude. You cut any repetitive slides. You fix the flow of the argument right now in pure text, while it only takes seconds to change.
Because fixing a broken argument after the slides are already beautifully designed is an absolute nightmare.
It really is.
So once the text is perfect, you ask Claude to generate a final, ready-to-paste prompt. You take that massive block of text, and you are finally ready to open Replit Design.
Sponsor.
Okay, we are back. We have our text blueprint perfectly sculpted and refined in Claude. Now we cross the bridge into the visual realm. We let the AI actually do the heavy lifting of design.
This is where Replit Design really takes over the process. The hard structural thinking is already done.
Right.
Replit already knows the exact slide count. It knows the audience, the tone, the narrative structure, and the core message.
You just open up Replit Design, you choose the slides option, you paste that massive pre-formatted prompt from Claude, and you hit send.
That's it.
Beat. The guide says the very first visual version is usually built in about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. It is incredibly fast. You watch it happen.
Yeah.
The chat interface on the left shows the AI actively planning the components. The canvas on the right shows the actual slides building in real time.
It's wild.
The charts render cleanly. The numbers are perfectly readable. It's doing the work of a junior designer instantly.
Whoa, imagine generating an entirely new visual logic in 30 seconds. 2-sec silence. It really is like having a junior designer sitting right next to you just waiting for instructions.
It really is. But the crucial part of this workflow is understanding what you do next.
Right.
That first 30-second version, it will almost certainly not be perfect.
Sure.
It is just a starting direction. And the guide has a golden rule for this exact moment.
Yes, and it's a huge mindset shift. If the overall visual direction is completely wrong, do not try to fix every slide manually. No.
Just rebuild the prompt. A complete rebuild takes another 30 seconds.
Yay.
Manually dragging text boxes around to fix a bad layout takes all afternoon.
A strong, detailed Claude prompt gives Replit Design far fewer chances to guess wrong in the first place.
Right.
But if it does misinterpret the vibe, you just adjust the core instruction and generate it again.
Now, once you have a layout you generally like, you can start tweaking. There is a simple edit button for tiny little word swaps. But the text chat feature is where the real magic happens. You can click on a specific element on the slide, and you literally tell the AI what to fix in plain English.
But there is a catch. You cannot be vague.
Okay.
If you just type, "make this better," you are giving the AI agent way too much room to guess what you mean. It might change the font when all you wanted was a different background color.
Right. You have to be specific with your commands. You say something like, make the main percentage number the very first thing people notice.
Exactly.
Or, the text block is way too close to the left edge. Add more padding and spacing on the left side. Exactly. You name the actual problem. The AI goes into the code and changes that exact spatial element. It does not blindly redesign the whole slide and ruin the parts you already liked.
And what's wild is that you can ask for much bigger structural changes, too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say a slide is just a dense wall of statistics in paragraph form.
Yeah.
You can just ask Replit to turn that text into a simple 3-column bar chart.
Or if a single slide feels way too crowded with information, you just ask the AI to split the content perfectly across 2 slides.
Right.
If the visual hierarchy feels flat and boring, you ask it to make the key data point 3 times larger and bold.
I want to pause here because this is a big distinction. Why use the text chat to fix a visual layout instead of just clicking and dragging the elements yourself?
Because the chat edits the underlying structural code of the presentation.
Okay.
Clicking and dragging is just applying a manual, superficial style. It's the difference between applying a Band-Aid to a symptom versus curing the underlying disease.
Right.
When you ask the AI to turn a paragraph into a chart, it fundamentally rewrites the DNA of the slide. You simply cannot do that by just dragging a text box across the screen.
Chat fixes the core structure, saving you hours of tedious manual tweaking.
Right. And once that structure finally looks perfect, you save the deck as a custom template. You start building a small, personal library of reliable layouts.
Yeah.
If you add your specific brand fonts and brand colors just one time, all your future decks will follow your brand guidelines automatically.
That is massive for maintaining consistency across a team.
Oh, totally.
So the deck is written, it is beautifully designed, it is cleaned up. Now we finally reach the last mile of the process. Sharing it,
Yes.
beat. Because a perfect, brilliant deck is completely useless if it just lives in a silo on your desktop.
Replit Design actually offers 4 very simple sharing options: present, export, collaborate, and publish.
Presenting is exactly what it sounds like. It's
Yeah.
full screen mode for when you're in the room. Exporting is downloading the deck as a standard PowerPoint file or a PDF. Collaborate lets your teammates jump in and leave comments. But I want to really dive into that 4th option, the publish feature.
This is arguably the most powerful functional option in the entire tool. Hitting publish generates a live, hosted web link for your presentation, you can open that link from any device in the world.
Yeah.
Even on your phone's mobile browser, it renders perfectly.
And here is the kicker. When you change a slide on your end, that exact same link updates instantly for everyone else.
Amazing.
The psychological relief of this feature is honestly huge. Think about finding a massive typo on slide 4 just 5 minutes before a critical client meeting.
Oh, the worst feeling.
Normally, that is a full-blown crisis. You have to fix it, re-export the PDF, draft a new email, and pray the client opens the new attachment instead of the old one.
Right.
But with a live link, you just quietly fix the typo in Replit, and the client screen updates immediately.
It completely eliminates the nightmare of outdated files. No more messy, confusing email threads.
Yeah.
No more attachments, frantically named final v4 definitely final.pdf floating around the Office network.
What makes this live link fundamentally different from just sharing a Cloud Drive folder with your team?
Well, a Cloud Drive folder still relies on static, independent files. You are still opening file, saving a file, syncing it.
Right, and hoping everyone clicked the most recent timestamp.
Exactly. A live link is completely different. It acts as a single, centralized source of truth that renders dynamically in the web browser in real time.
It permanently kills outdated files and messy email threads for your whole team.
Exactly. It keeps everyone, everywhere, perfectly synced without any extra effort.
Let's zoom out for a second. Let's synthesize this entire journey we just went on.
The big takeaway here is the total inversion of the normal workflow.
Right, and the strict discipline it actually takes to maintain that inversion.
Right first. Design second.
AI is a logic engine first.
And a design engine second.
You separate the story from the visual, build the argument, then build the deck.
It completely shifts how we interact with these tools.
It really does. I want to encourage you, listening right now, to actually try this workflow. Apply this master prompt to framework to whatever big idea or pitch you are wrestling with this week. Force the logic first in Claude. See how much time it actually saves you when you aren't fighting with templates. But going through this process also leaves me with a much bigger, slightly more philosophical question.
Okay.
Something for you to mull over as we wrap up. If AI can now perfectly structure our complex arguments and beautifully design our visual slides in seconds, doesn't that shift all the pressure right back onto our human presence?
That's a fascinating point to consider. The slide deck is no longer a crutch you can hide behind.
Exactly. If the deck is flawless every single time, how does this change the way we actually speak and perform in the room? The presentation is fixed. The logic is crystal clean. You don't have to waste your energy manually fixing those text boxes the night before. But now you actually have to stand up and deliver.
The spotlight is entirely back on you.
It really is. We will leave you with that thought. Thank you for diving deep with us today. Out hero music,